Okay, last time I'm talking about affirmative action. Never say never. I said I was going to not talk about this 2 weeks ago, and then here I am, it's probably my fourth video, but I didn't know this case was going to come down. I could go on for another 160 years on this. This is all I got to talk about. 100 degrees right now exactly, or I think it's maybe cooled off to somewhere in the 90s, but sunset right now in Albuquerque. Let me get straight to the point, no fluff. Okay, first of all, lipstick on a pig. Sonia Sotomayor, and I'm going to try to keep this under 10 minutes this time. Let's see. Either I go on and on and on, or I talk really fast if I want to keep this quick. So hopefully I don't talk too fast. It's another stereotype, I guess. But okay, lipstick on a pig. Sonia Sotomayor says that the conservative who are considered conservative justices, and when I say conservative liberal, the court's not supposed to be partisan, but we know how it is. Republican presidents appoint more conservative justices, or tend to at least, and then Democrat presidents tend to appoint more liberal justices. So conservatives are appointed usually by Republicans, liberals by Democrats. But Sonia Sotomayor says that the personal essay thing is like putting lipstick on a pig, okay? And I tend to agree that, and I guess these personal essays, the conservative justices are proposing that personal essays can compensate for taking race out as a factor, okay? Who knows I don't even know if these people read these. I know back in the day they used to, at least getting in law school, it's like a scale, your GPA and your LSAT score or something. But so who knows who's actually reading these things, right? But, or who's reading them, if they're being read. And the definition by minority, or of minority, I should say, is in and of itself means minority. So the majority of people reading this are probably not minorities, at least you would think. Maybe nowadays they are, but at least before they weren't. Okay, so that's lipstick on a pig. But when I'm thinking about these metrics and these objective factors, I've said that socioeconomics and different factors can compensate for issues such as race and things, because the effect could maybe create more diversity. But I think both sides will agree you don't want a world exclusively based on metrics. I know I was talking about these schools and how they manipulate almost like population control with like Harvard back in the 20s. By taking out standardized testing. I don't know whether it was because they like Jews or not. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason they wanted to take standardized testing out, and the evidence was because they wanted less Jewish students. I don't know if it was like out of malice or because they didn't like these students, or just because they feel like that would add to diversity or whatever. But at the end of the day, this is population control by these universities. And the real lipstick on a pig, and again, this is no offense to pigs, actually. I don't want anybody going off on me about that, attacking me on that now about pigs, but how much lipstick can you put on a pig before you can't, the pig ain't gonna look pretty, okay? Another thing I can't help but think about here is the insurance company. When I'm reading about all of this and these universities, but I couldn't help but think of an insurance company, Lloyd's of London. They're the largest insurance company in the world. If you go on their website, at least before you did, I don't know if it's still there, but if you went on their website, they apologize for their involvement in the slave trade. These were the same people who would insure slaveholders if slaves didn't make it from Africa or wherever they were coming from, if they would drown, and I think these are the same guys who insured the Titanic. But if they were drowned, or they would be injured, or they would not be ready, willing, and able to work for these slaveholders, the slaveholders were insured. Okay, and now they have these, they're putting lipstick, I guess, on this whole fundamentally flawed foundation, as I believe it is. But they're, putting lipstick. I mean, maybe with this apology, maybe in their London offices, they're hiring people from Africa and India. But this is a fundamentally flawed foundation. This university is trying to, kind of save face, or I'm sorry, this institute, Lloyd's of London. But I feel like all of these, a lot of these corporations, these big universities, are all kind of a big bubble here. All right, and I really believe that this is a fundamentally flawed thing. And again, how much lipstick can you? These are the pigs, I guess, who've really been causing the problems from before. And now you keep putting lipstick, and you can't make the pig look pretty. Okay, or it's just not going to happen. Okay, there's fundamental issues here that have been going on, and so that's what I think the real lipstick on a pig is. Okay, now I misspoke in my last one. I did appreciate Gorsuch's argument. We're different people, but I did appreciate his argument about how these are overbroad. I did say that 60% of the world's population is Asian American. Actually, I meant Asian. Obviously, 60% of the world's population is Asian, and with that, and this affirmative action has to do with Asian Americans. But they're creating this broad area. But I did appreciate Gorsuch's argument, and he went a step further. Both the conservative and liberal justices were giving different perspectives on equal protection. Gorsuch should go another step further and talk about Title VI funding and how both public and private schools get this federal Title VI funding. And he said, I don't remember the exact clause, but something to do with cannot discriminate based on race, creed, or color. So regardless of your opinion of or what side you come on analyzing equal protection or whatever case law there is, Title VI funding takes affirmative action off the table. So that was his argument. Okay, one thing I did appreciate is I call this the isolated student argument, and this was by Ketanji Brown Jackson, and I can relate to this. So she talks about how you could have a black student or a few black students at Harvard, and if you don't have affirmative action, there wouldn't be more students of color, and that would make them feel isolated or whatever. Not so much in college, but in elementary school. I think in elementary school, I first went to a school that was somewhat diverse, at least for the times. But then my parents moved to a bigger house in the same suburb, and then I was bused to a really affluent suburb of Chicago, where the school was pretty much white and Jewish. I think I was the only Indian guy there, or Indian American. I don't believe there were any Native American or anybody who identified as Native American Indian. And then there was, this is a suburb in Chicago. But then there was also, I think, there was an Indian female who everybody would derogatorily say I should get married or date. And then there were two Korean guys. I think one moved to Colorado or something in the middle of our middle school. And then in like seventh grade, I think two black students moved in. And I think one of them, or one, and then the other one had a sibling who was in a higher grade or something. But everybody was afraid to say anything to them. Or you'd walk on eggshells. And no, even I would be afraid. Everybody was afraid to say anything to them. But people would say the N-word to me, call me Gandhi, whatever, hurl anything. People would, pick on the Indian guy, but nobody would attack or say anything really to these black students. And I think a lot of Indian people, at least my age, who may have grown up growing up in the United States, will kind of agree and say the same thing, that a lot of times we'll hear stuff that white people or other people are scared to tell black kids or black people because, we'll hear the N-word, we'll hear different things. Maybe they're afraid of getting in trouble, getting expelled or something. I don't know what it is, but it's a sad phenomenon. But if there was more diversity, maybe that could have changed things. But it was my parents' choice to move to that other school district or whatever. And what do? Start doing this from an early stages? Because I don't know if it's really going to make a difference. And when you get to college, I feel like people are kind of established in their ways. Either they may be that token minority student, or they went to school with a lot of minorities, right? There was another school, somewhere in Niles in Chicago area, which was all like Indian and really diverse or whatever. But so it just depends. You just go to schools that are just your people. I mean, that defeats the purpose too, I guess, because part of this thing is the free flow of ideas from different cultures or races or whatever. So who knows? But Ketanji Brown Jackson does also bring in the argument. So to counter the socioeconomic stuff, she says that black students of any socioeconomic background can bring in unique perspectives. Because, obviously, if they're poor or they went to an inner city school, that can provide a perspective. But also, if you're that token black kid in an affluent school, they can provide that perspective. But I feel like everybody can do that in either sense. Either you can be that token person, whether you're Asian or sometimes there could be a white kid in a predominantly black school or whatever. And so I don't know if that completely is accurate. I feel like these things can work both ways. Or many different ways. And the same thing with, you could have different, and I really feel the socioeconomic thing is good because you can have different perspectives of different races that really brings in, because I think because this has fundamentally been an elitist system or whatever, maybe the wealth aspect can create a more free flow of ideas. But exclusively basing it on race, and you're isolating, I believe, other races. Even if this is a token black kid who can bring in a different perspective, or a token whoever kid who can bring in a different perspective than other people. So that's that. Okay. Again, I want to keep this under 10 minutes, and which I have done. Okay. And again, this is a topic that divides people. I wanted to hopefully, I do have my beliefs on this, but I hope I was as, I wasn't, made this I didn't divide anybody, and I wanted to really bring in both sides, but I did also kind of inject my own perspective into it. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, and we will have a completely different LNAW topic. Again, I never say never on this, but next week it's gonna be somebody different, not Johnny Depp, but maybe a celebrity thing, something fun, at least for legal standards. Okay, bye.